Dolittle did little at the box office, but did Dolittle do little for me? Let's do this. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Dan Murrell, and this is my review of Dolittle as I go back and revisit some of the movies from 2020 that I did not review earlier this year, as we're waiting for newer ones to come out in theaters. I'd heard a lot about this, as did most people, because this was the year's first big box office bomb. Cats was released at the end of 2019. So let's just get that out of the way right now. Robert Downey Jr. rebooted or remade or whatever you want to call the classic character Dr. Dolittle. And when you think of Dr. Dolittle and animal hijinks, I know that I think of the writer-director of Syriana, Stephen Gaghan. It seems like a perfect fit, doesn't it? The screenplay was actually by Stephen Gaghan, along with a couple writers known for TV mostly, Dan Greger and Doug Mann, and also Thomas Shepard, who did the story. And it does with Dr. Dolittle what it seems like every movie that wants to reboot or renew a character does: make them miserable. I gotta say that I wasn't exactly shocked to find Dr. Dolittle at the beginning of this movie steeped in a pit of sorrow and misery and despair, because that seems to be the only way that most people seem to want to go with beloved characters nowadays. And I talked about this in my review for Star Trek Picard. Every character on that show is miserable. Look what happened even with Star Wars. What happened after Return of the Jedi? Luke's miserable. Han was miserable. Leia was miserable. And this is where we find Dr. Dolittle, that lovable animal veterinarian, just depressed and shut off from the world. You know what? I'm calling it right now. I am going to say 2020, when the movies come back, we're going to make this the year of Mocha. Make our characters happy again. It's a good acronym and also delicious and caffeinated. This version of Dr. Dolittle finds the titular doctor and his new apprentice as they try to find a mysterious fruit to cure the dying Queen of England, all while being pursued by Michael Sheen's Dr. Blair Moodfly on an epic high-seas adventure. You know, veterinarian stuff. I will say that watching Dolittle now, as opposed to at the beginning of the year, puts a whole new spin on an eccentric guy living on a compound full of exotic wild animals in a post-Tiger King world. Dolittle's life seems a little less charming than it might have been just a few months ago. Now, the one thing that Dr. Dolittle can do, of course, is talk to the animals. And I thought it was really interesting that in this movie they did the whole Hunt for Red October trick, where you see animals talking and then you zoom into like Dr. Dolittle's mouth and then you zoom back out and he's talking English. So they just kind of use this old Hollywood method, I guess, for showing that Dr. Dolittle is actually barking and grunting and howling and doing whatever you do to each animal, which I wish they would have shown more of. As a matter of fact, I wish this movie would have been all Robert Downey Jr. just talking to the animals, untranslated, and then you figure out what the plot is, because largely it was a little difficult for me to hear what Robert Downey Jr. was saying anyway. He's doing this accent work in the movie, and while I was watching it, I was baffled. But apparently, as I went back and did my research, he decided to do Dr. Dolittle in a Welsh accent, which that's a choice. It's certainly a difficult accent to nail. But as I was listening to the movie, I was trying to figure out, like, what is this accent and what does it remind me of? Like, it sounds kind of Scottish, but then it sounds kind of South African. And then at a certain point in the movie, it clicked with me, and I said, it's Littlefinger. He's speaking Littlefinger.
But on her voyage, she was shipwrecked. The world lost the greatest explorer I've ever known.
If they don't know who you are or what you want, they can't know what you plan to do next.
You see, Polar Bear, you're used to the cold, but you wouldn't survive a minute in the scorch.
To Robert Downey Jr.'s credit, I did find a review of his accent online from Wales Online, and they said that at times he got it pretty good, but then at other times, quote, when given more than a few short lines to speak, the accent starts to waver alarmingly, taking in Scottish, Irish, and even Indian. So mixed reviews from the Welsh on that accent, but certainly a mystery to me as I was watching the movie. So Dolittle had a reported budget of $175 million, which is why it was such a box office disappointment. They had the margins were so big and it had to make so much that it just didn't even approach that number, in addition to the fact that the box office was kind of cut short by the theaters closing, although most of Dolittle had run its course here in the United States. Where it really was hurt was that it didn't get a chance to open in a lot of countries overseas and rack up the numbers in foreign markets. But when you look at a movie like this, $175 million, and this has happened to so many big budget movies, it has this immense budget, but the whole thing looks fake. everything in this movie looks fake. Of course, the animals look fake because most of them are CGI, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the settings look fake. The backgrounds look fake. This is a globe-trotting movie. This is a movie about high seas epic adventure. This is a movie about going to all these far-off and mysterious places, and almost every single one of them looks like a green screen set. The budget is so big that it looks cheap. As I mentioned, a lot of the animals also fake, which, some of them, sure, I get it. A gorilla. You're not going to train a gorilla. You're not going to put a gorilla or a giraffe or a polar bear on the set with Robert Downey Jr. Do I think he could charm all of those animals? Yes, because I think that Robert Downey Jr. is the most charming person on earth. However, you're not going to take that insurance liability. But there's some of them that are like, a duck? You need a CGI duck? Like, Friends trained a duck back in the 90s. If a duck can work with Matt LeBlanc, a duck can work with Robert Downey Jr. You have a CGI dog in the movie? This and Call of the Wilds, like, there are real dogs. There's lots of real dogs, and you can train them. Like, there's some smart dogs out there. Like, why do you need a fully computer animated dog? Was it because of the glasses? Is it because the dog is wearing glasses? Because even with the computer animation, I have some serious questions about these glasses. Because if you'll notice, the glasses don't go over the ears. The glasses go under the ears. They go under the dog ears. So where do the glasses connect? I looked on the back. I don't see like a loop that goes around. How do the glasses stay on that dog's face? If you're gonna spend $175 million on dog glasses, at least make the glasses make some kind of sense. And I think it says a lot about this movie that I spent a healthy amount of the runtime worrying about the mechanics of dog glasses. Story-wise, the movie is a bit of a mess because Dr. Dolittle is running around and doing all of these really cool things, but the movie itself seems kind of stuck on these big action set pieces, like this voyage for a whale to tow the boat, and he's going underwater, and like those are cool, but we spend a very long time on those, but then we skip over this whole part about like Antonio Banderas is a pirate king, and he's Dr. Dolittle's father-in-law, and they plan this whole heist to go into a castle and steal this journal. Like, that's all kind of brushed over in like 60 seconds. And it's like, you know what? I would have taken like half the whale time to maybe spend a little more time with Antonio Banderas, the Pirate King. That may be his real life occupation. I don't know. He's a wonderful and mysterious man. I wanted to know more about that and less about these big set pieces. Now, the one that has gotten the most attention, of course, is the finale of the film, which involves a dragon. I'll grant you the dragon waiver here at this point. But the finale of the film does involve Dr. Dolittle winning over this dragon by performing what I can only be described, and what I think can only be medically described, as a dragon enema, which results in him pulling out a bunch of armor from the dragon's butthole, along with bagpipes, again, from the dragon's butthole, and thus soothing the pain of this dragon, who had apparently had this, well, they used the term impacted colon. That's definitely a choice. There is extended dragon flatulence, and this was stuff reportedly because this movie underwent 3 weeks of reshoots that was added to the film. So this was not just a choice. This was a very deliberate and intentional choice. Somebody watched the first cut of Dolittle and said, no, we need a scene where Robert Downey Jr. pulls armor out of a dragon's butthole, and then that dragon farts in his face. And that is the only way that we are going to achieve this $175 million. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Perhaps the executive's name was Ted. I don't know. So, some very interesting choices made in this film, from the accents to the dog glasses to the choice for pulling things out of a dragon's butthole, which, by the way, all that armor and those bagpipes, very clean. I understand it's a kid's movie, but he is a veterinarian. You do want some medical accuracy, and the fact that there was not a spot of anything, unless dragons have clear feces, they really skirted the issue on the whole impacted colon, dragon butthole, armors, and bagpipes thing. Very interesting choices made in this film. If you're looking for this so bad that it's good type viewing experience, or this like classically terrible movie, that's not this movie. That's Cats, which Universal released a month before this film. So Dr. Dolittle is not that, although it certainly is odd. It's a very odd movie. There are some other redeeming factors. Michael Sheen as the villain is chewing the scenery and obviously knows what's going on. And I feel like the people that play villains in these movies kind of get a free pass because they get to go have fun and everyone else has to carry this thing, whether it's good or bad. So it's not an irredeemable movie. It's certainly not a movie that I could say that I really enjoyed. Kids will probably enjoy it if you're looking for something to put on for the kids while everybody's locked down until we can safely leave our houses. Then they would probably like it, but not something I'm going to revisit. Not one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but not a great way to start off 2020, and certainly not. This would be, I think, a Best Picture nominee. I can think of no better reason for Hollywood to figure out how to get people back into theaters safely and get this release train rolling again. Because, I don't want to see this picture nominated for an Academy Award. And right now, I think it probably would be, and it would have been beaten by Bad Boys for Life. So that's my review of Dolittle. Did you like the movie? Did you enjoy the Welsh accent and the dragon farting? Let me know down in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. I did a review last week for 2 other movies from 2020, Bad Boys for Life and Sonic the Hedgehog. I've also got a few more planned for some other ones that I missed, both big and small, that I'm looking forward to bringing to you here on the channel. You can also find a lot of other cool videos here. I just put out a video about my favorite movie, Jaws, and why I love it. There's also this week's charts where I break down the AMC versus Universal showdown that's happening right now. And if that's not enough for you, you can join me over on Patreon at patreon.com/Dan Murrell. You get exclusive early access to most of the stuff that I'm doing here on the channel. You also get my monthly movie club, which we're diving into, and you get a monthly feature-length commentary track for a movie of your choosing if you go up to the producer level. So many cool things going on over there. But if you just want to stick around here, I would love it if you could like, share, subscribe, do all those fun YouTube things, hit that bell. I love making this stuff, and I can't wait to make more. Hey, and since this is reviews all about the animals, this is one of our cats, Sir Pounce. The internet likes cats. This is his birthday. It's his cat birthday today, and I'm reviewing Dolittle. I'm sorry, Sir Pounce. I wish I would have reviewed a better movie for your birthday. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.